Can you imagine that before this model, Americans didn't have a civilian sports car, if you can call it that? I was surprised myself. Everything that existed was built on the basis of already produced models. But this one, let's say right away that America in the middle of the last century was the leading automotive power, and that's not surprising. World War II had practically destroyed the European auto industry, but Europe still had something to amaze the world with, especially the American soldiers stationed there. Small, relatively inexpensive cars, but very lively and quite powerful. Which one? MG, Jaguar, Porsche, practically for any budget. But in America, there was nothing like that. That's not right. Corvette was the first. By the way, Corvette was originally called the Opel Project. The car owes its origins and creation to General Motors' noted chief designer Harley Earl and renowned engineer Ed Cole. It was they who decided to shake up the American market. It was a bold move. Let me say right away, they did shake things up by presenting the concept of the new car at the New York Autorama Auto Show in January 1953. And just 6 months later, the first cars rolled out of the factory gates in the city of Flint, Michigan. There was nothing in the first Corvette. 2 seats, usually without a roof, only in white, and a stunning look. As for comfort features, 2 soft seats. But the price was relatively reasonable, $3,513, and it could go fast. Now I'm going to add a spoonful of tar to the Corvette story. Until 1955, the car didn't sell very well. The quality was so-so. It didn't go as fast as people would have liked. Despite its beautiful looks and concept, the car was mediocre. In the press, they jokingly called it a spare parts container. In Russia, that's what we'd call a bucket of bolts. But American businessmen kept making improvements. They increased engine power and improved the brakes. And in 1958, they even changed its appearance. The headlights became dual. The shape of the grille also changed. In front of you is a sort of first-generation car, but it's a restyled version from 1962, from the Kamishmash Retro Gallery collection at the La Colline restaurant. Not only is this the last year of the C1 series, but the rear end is already almost from the second generation. Why almost? The look isn't quite there, but the 4 taillights would become the Corvette's calling card for many years to come. And do you know what people called it? The ducktail. Well, that sounds a bit more polite. Otherwise, the car was a classic representative of its era, but with bold solutions for its time. The frame's side members are box-shaped, welded from 2 U-shaped profiles to reduce weight, and the X-shaped cross members are made from I-beams. If you look under the bottom, it's almost completely flat, since even the mufflers pass through special holes in the frame. This is actually my first time opening the trunk of a Corvette, so I have no idea what to expect in there. Here we go. And what awaits me here is just beautiful. The lid is on spring. Nice. And there's a full-size spare under the floor. Everything is very well thought out. Now, about the suspension. It consists of components that were developed back in the pre-war era, in the 1930s. They're just installed with intelligence and expertise gained from countless racing series. At the front, it's independent, 8 arms, and ideally Delco shock absorbers mounted inside the springs. So, where do you open the hood here? Here. So I'm opening the hood, but we'll get to the engine a bit later so that... Yeah, you'll see it for sure in a moment. The anti-roll bar is mounted very high above the frame and above the front axle. Here it is. The engines were constantly being changed. They started with a 6-cylinder engine, which turned out to be too weak for buyers. They were offered all sorts of options, but in the end it all came down to the V8 small block 327. All I can say about it is, even a truck would run on this engine. Its displacement is 5,354 cubic centimeters. For comparison, the 130th had a stroke volume of 6,000 cubic centimeters. Its power output ranges from 250 to 360 horsepower. In our case, the magic number is 250. The maximum horsepower is reached at 4,400 RPM. The maximum torque is 466 Newton meters. And now for the connoisseurs, the cylinder diameter is 101.6 millimeters and the piston stroke is 82.55 millimeters. Carter carburetor. I can't say anything more about this engine because I don't know. But if they kept installing it in the next generation of Corvettes, it must be pretty good. But that's not certain. By the way, the body is made of fiberglass, a very trendy material for that period. There are 11 mounting points to the frame. There were also 8 different body colors and I think 4 distinct wheel colors available as well. In front of you is a slightly redesigned interior. How much has it changed? It doesn't matter. It's simply beautiful. All leather and chrome. It's elegant. But if you look at it from the perspective of today's understanding of comfort, there's practically none here. My God, it's honestly so easy to get in. The seats are soft and quite comfortable. That's really all I can say. There is simply no lateral support whatsoever. Air conditioning. Are you kidding? Do you see how thick the door is? Beautiful. Power windows. That's pure luxury. A clock. A little heater. A tube radio, a tiny ashtray because this car is made for driving, not for smoking. I don't know what this is. We'll figure it out later. Something to snap off. We'll figure it out a bit later. Did you see that shelf with the Corvette label? The mirror is clearly not for looking at yourself, but for peeking. By the instruments. Yeah, 4 6s. Definitely not going to race, the weather isn't great, and the guys from Kamishmash won't appreciate my speed. By the instruments. Here we have the fuel level indicator, the coolant temperature gauge, charging and temperature, probably oil. Probably. A cigarette lighter, a tachometer in the middle, and above it a prominent speedometer. The steering wheel rubs against my knees, but oh well. The cabin ventilation is 3-position. A secret little spot for keeping a bottle of whiskey hidden away. Well, what else could you possibly put here, I wonder? And now we're going to take off the roof, and for that I'll call in the tough guys from Kamishmash. Well, first I need to get out. And under the hard roof, the winter one, let's call it that for convenience, there's another roof hidden. A convertible top that extends electrically from here. But we won't do that, just to be on the safe side. You should sit in the Corvette just to start the incredible engine. What a sound. What power. The whole car shakes. All the figures mentioned in this story are taken from open sources. I trust them since I have no way to verify them myself. The weather, gentlemen. But one thing's for sure, this car launches itself like a beast. On the right road, it hits 100 in about 8 seconds. The gearbox here is a manual 4-speed, but originally it had a 2-speed automatic. The car was designed and intended for comfortable, relaxed driving, but sporting ambitions won out. Sport has infused the Corvette. The Corvette was created and perfected by people who themselves embodied sport. But the father of the Corvette, as he was called at Chevrolet, was Zora Arkus Duntov, who was born in Russia and lived in the USSR in Leningrad. As for how he ended up in America, he didn't flee the Soviets. That's just how life turned out. Look it up. And there were dozens of such like-minded people around the car. A whole cohort of engineers meticulously refined the design. Take, for example, the rear axle. The differential was from a civilian Chevrolet. There were 4 leaf springs and shock absorbers. They added side rods and a lateral rod. And then a miracle happened. It handles well, that's a fact. But there's no power steering. How did they achieve that? A large steering wheel and a properly selected worm gear. The only thing is, when making a U-turn, you really have to turn the wheel actively. The Corvette truly became the first American sports car not for athletes, but for ordinary people. Although the Chevrolet company itself claimed that you could immediately compete in races with the Corvette. Their advertising slogan was, "Bring the hay bales, we have no idea what they're for." Hay bales were used to mark out the racetrack. Something like that. Having started production in 1953, the model is still being made today. The 8th generation. Can you believe it? I don't know how many cars have been produced in total, but I do know one thing for sure. It was with the model I just showed you that the glorious history of the Corvette began. Let's take a moment to prepare ourselves as we move forward. Now, as we continue, let's keep an open mind and stay focused on the journey ahead. By proceeding together, we can make meaningful progress and discover new insights along the way. So, let's continue and see what we can achieve next. The end.